I'm from the Philippines. I met a man named John Good on Facebook. He replied to one of my comments and he said I was beautiful. I'm a single mother from the Philippines and I have an 8-year-old son. John told me he was in the U.S. Army and his profile photo was of a military man who's very handsome. I love American military guys and always dreamed of marrying a strong, successful military man who would be a great role model for my son. John sent me a friend request and I accepted it. We started chatting and he asked if I had Google Hangouts. I went ahead and downloaded it and we started talking. We spoke nearly every day and every night. He asked about my son, my life in the Philippines. I work part-time as a cleaner. I'm very poor and my family is poor. My mother and father and we all live in the same home together. And I've always dreamed of coming to America and marrying a military man. So I was quite flattered when he started to message me, and I was even more excited when we became close and we started talking every day. He would call me on Google Hangouts and we would speak over the phone. My English is not great. I have a very heavy accent, and he said it was okay. It made me more beautiful. We started talking more and more and more. It was addicting. He asked about my son. He said he would love to show my son the ways of the military. He told me he was a widow and his wife died during childbirth. He also had a son who was 11 years old. His son's name was James. He always said that my son and his son could get to know each other and become brothers as time went on. I fell in love with this man and he wanted to marry me. He said he would come over to my country to meet me and we could fill out the application for me to become his wife. Now I tried several times to video chat with him, but he would only send me videos of himself in war. He said he was deployed to Syria and he would be home soon. He told me he had a house in Texas. I thought it would be so wonderful we could all be together as a family in Texas. He said he lived in Dallas. This was exciting to me, to have him bring me over to the States and for us to be husband and wife and a family. I could be close, we could be a family. He sent me love songs and poems. He said he wanted to marry me as we became closer. We went on and on. I know it was fast. He was sure of what he wanted, and I thought as a military man he just made up his mind and was very direct. He said he wanted to adopt my son and he was going to bring him to the States as well so he could complete his schooling and he would pay for everything. I told my mother and father about him, and he sent me the marriage application and said I would have to fill it out and send it to his commanding officer. I said I would, and then once I was approved, he would fly over to see me out of the war zone, and then we could come home to his house in Texas. He then said we could apply for my permanent resident visa. Well, I wasn't sure how all this worked. I filled out the application, and he had me email it to his commanding officer at a Gmail address. The commanding officer replied with an official-looking document stating I need to pay $1,500 US to process the document. I told him I don't have that kind of money. I emailed the commander back and told him I don't have anything. I told John that I don't have that money either, and he told me I would have to find a way that the military man cannot pay directly. It has to be the foreigner who's on the application, otherwise it'll become invalid. I became upset. I wanted this to happen. I wanted to be with him. I ended up contacting some of my family, and I have a sister that's working in Kuwait. She works full-time as a cleaner over there, and she was hoping that I would come over and work with her. She said she'd try to get the money, and she went ahead and was able to secure it. She said she took out a personal loan for some money from her boss, and the rest was from her savings from working. It took her over a year to save that money. I sent the money over and let the commanding officer know. He had me send it to one of the agents in the U.S., some man in Washington. I sent the money to this man in Washington, and they told me they would process the application right away. John said he couldn't wait, and he was so happy that we could all be a family. I was waiting for the application. John seemed to message less and less. He said he was busy in the war zone. I told him I was preparing for him to come and see me and for us to go to America. One morning I woke up to find that he wasn't on Google Hangouts. I think he blocked me. He no longer showed up on there. When I tried to find his Facebook page, I was also blocked from there, or his profile disappeared. I went online to try to get some help, and I found out that the photo he used had been stolen. It wasn't John Good at all. It was a stolen photo of an officer named Raymond Chandler. I didn't know who he was at first, but now I do. I was sick, and I found out I'd been scammed. I had to let my sister know, and she was very upset. She had worked extremely hard for that money. I have to now find a way to try and pay her back, but it might take me years to do so. I lost my heart. I also lost a trusted family member, as my sister is very angry with me right now, and she says I'm stupid. I now get friend requests from all kinds of military men wanting to get to know me, or some that just straight up ask me for money. Ladies, don't fall for these handsome military men. It's a clown in disguise. Thanks for letting me share. We'd like to thank this lady for sharing her story. If you'd like to share your story, you can find us on Facebook under the page Scamming Scammers Action. Drop us an email, scammingscammers@gmail.com. We will review your story and narrate it into a video. Thanks for listening. Until next time.